Alright, what is going on, you lovely ladies and gentlemen of the world? Just very quickly, Melty Blood recently released a new character trailer. Hell yeah, I'm super interested. Definitely gonna try Noelle out. They also released a full match trailer, which gave people a much clearer look in what to expect from the game. But given that I personally have not put any real time into Melty Blood in the past, I don't know enough about the game to really get necessarily excited about anything specific, to be disappointed about anything specific, and so thus, because of that, I don't really have anything much to talk about, right? I'm excited for the game. I'm still excited for the game. I am going to mention for every single future fighting game moving forward that I have hope for. Before the game comes out, I am going to be asking on a weekly basis, where the beta at? Let us put our fears to rest. Let us try your game out. Let us verify that the online is smooth as silk, because I love me the feeling of some silk. And, get us hype, right? Where it at? Give us the beta. Let's go. Let's get ready. I'm ready. Let's go. So aside from that, I got nothing. I got nothing specific to talk about, right? But I was thinking, Dragon Ball FighterZ got me thinking. Also, Bumblebee's comment on last week's Nate Talk also got me thinking in a similar vein, to basically led me to what I want to talk about, and that is the buzzword that is the simplification of fighting games. Because Bumblebee last week talked about how the concept of rollback has basically just become almost a meaningless buzzword, where like the majority of people have no idea what it means, what it actually is, and they just kind of it's just this verification that the fighting game is going to be in safe hands, right? Which is just absolutely not true. We have plenty of evidence that rollback does not solve every problem just by its very presence. Rollback can be poorly implemented, rollback can be well implemented. We have plenty of examples of both, right? And so in the same vein, I was thinking, because one of my big turning points with my regard toward fighting games to being more or less fairly positive and just kind of universally enjoying them, to now admittedly being fairly negative overall about them, was when BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle came out, and they were like, we want to simplify fighting games, and here's why. And that has led to a lot of people just kind of rallying against this idea of simplification. If you see the word simplification, casualization, whatever, it's instantly a bad thing. They're appealing to the wrong people. They're throwing the true fans of fighting games under the bus, trying to chase some nebulous crowd that really doesn't exist, trying to chase Call of Duty sales, trying to chase Fortnite money, and they're just completely disregarding what made us fall in love with fighting games in the first place, right? And that's kind of how it's perceived, or at least how I think it's generally perceived. And I wanted to talk about that because I don't think that's the case. I shouldn't say that. Some developers clearly do think that is the case, right? Like, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle is the wrong way to simplify things. Guilty Gear Strive is, in my opinion, the wrong way to simplify things. But it's not the simplification in and of itself that is negative. Granblue Fantasy Versus, I think, is a great showcasing of how you can simplify the game for a more casual crowd, for a crowd that doesn't necessarily want to spend time in training mode, that doesn't necessarily want to master all the fighting game fundamentals, but still be capable of playing the game. I think that's a great example of that, right? But when you sacrifice depth to your game, in certain cases, in a lot of cases, you also remove enjoyable aspects of them. You remove a lot of the fun. And so that's my biggest problem with Guilty Gear Strive, is that, to me at least, there's no fun there. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle also kind of is just, it's more like, this is my own personal bias, right? Like with Guilty Gear Strive, I actually think that it's just a fighting game boiled down to basically pure fighting game fundamentals without anything really enjoyable in there on top of it. Like, there's nothing built. It's just, you have your foundation for a house, but you have no actual house to actually live in and make your own and kind of, set up your own decorations, fine tune it to how you want it to be. It's just the foundation. So you're just sat there staring at it like, where's the rest? That's my opinion of Guilty Gear Strive. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle has other stuff going on for it, but it's mostly my own bias against it that makes me dislike it, right? Like, to me, you're making essentially a versus game with 4 different series involved. It should be a celebration of those series. It should showcase these characters at their full potential, at their full might, let's say. And instead, you neuter them down, you remove like half of their buttons, if not even more. And they're just shadows of their former selves from their original games. And I hate that. That's one of the biggest reasons why I dislike BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. And it's mostly, I have to admit, because it's not what I thought it was going to be. But still, my original reasoning behind not liking Cross Tag Battle had nothing necessarily to do with the simplification. There are certain aspects of the simplification, as I mentioned, that I do not like. But my original disdain for the game came from their reasoning for the simplification. Oh yeah, we've seen that Westerners just can't hang with us. They're too stupid. They're too clumsy. They're not able to play fighting games the way we are. And so we gotta simplify it so these monkeys can catch up to us, right? And that was, who did that set me off? Was not a happy boy over that, right? And so to that, largely, I owe a lot of my own personal negativity toward the concept of simplification. But so, I've shit-talked Strive a lot, right? And so a lot of the times, the response to people shit-talking Strive is, well, why don't you just go play the older Guilty Gears? That's fine. I would love to. Unfortunately, they don't have the netcode that Strive does. They don't have the support that Strive does. I'd love to. Anyway, that's an argument for another time. But still, let's say I do go back to Xrd, right? I'd simplify Xrd. I would love to. Remove danger time. Remove mashing to tech. Remove mashing to get out of those stupid-ass stuns. And I'll be a happy boy. I mean, I'm already a happy boy with Xrd, right? But there are definitely changes to it that would undoubtedly be regarded as simplification. So the very idea of simplification isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are things that are completely unnecessary within fighting games that add nothing to them and arguably detract from the overall quality of the game. And removing those things, by definition, is simplifying it. It's not a bad thing, by concept. But it's just that fighting game developers are analyzing this from the wrong angle. That's the other thing that I kind of just, now that I've kind of just put out my thoughts on simplification, I don't know what shit a lot of these fighting game developers are chasing, right? Like, clearly a lot of these changes are to try to broaden the fighting game audience, trying to bring in more people to fighting games, right? I mean, that's the entire point behind all of these changes. They've even said, specifically, we want to bring in new blood to fighting games. We want more people playing these games. And so, I would love to pick these people's brains and figure out, like, what number of people are you chasing here? Right? Are we trying to hit 1 million sales? Are we trying to hit 5 million? Are we trying to hit 20 million? Like, where are we going for here? Because the simple fact of the matter is, you're not going to get there. Like, so, Guilty Gear Strive. I think it was like 3 weeks to a month ago. It might even be more than that. Who knows? My ability to know how much time has passed since something has happened these days is just gone completely. But a while ago, they celebrated 500,000 sales total. Right? Now you look at Guilty Gear Strive, and that's an undoubtable success for Guilty Gear specifically. Right? But you look at other bigger fighting games, Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Those games would consider 500K a massive failure. A huge failure. In fact, Street Fighter V sold almost 3 times that in the same period of time. And Capcom considered that to be a failure. And so it's just kind of like, how many people are we talking here? How many people are we chasing? Also, the counter argument to that is like, MOBAs. MOBAs are like the most complex genre of games, one of them. RTSs would be another, but RTSs have seen nowhere near the same success as MOBAs. But MOBAs are ridiculously complex and difficult to play, and that is showcased time and time again by anybody who actually plays these games and sees how worthless so many people playing them are. Right? And so because of that, it's not, you can't casualize these games. You can't simplify these games and just automatically get a crowd of people coming to you like, oh, well, finally. Now I can finally play a fighting game. That's not the reason why so many people have stayed away from fighting games for so long. It's something else. And I do think that overall, I mean, I mentioned this when I did say, like, Guilty Gear Strive sucks because of you, right? That clickbait-ass title. I mentioned it in that where it's like, so many people were probably gatekept out of not only Xrd, not only Plus R, but any fighting game where people are like, yo, man, I've spent 3,000 hours playing this game and I still suck at it. You're going to have to spend a ton of time to be good at the game, right? And that's just patently false. It's just so untrue. But there are so many people that talk like that about fighting games, and it's like it's this elite group. I'm part of this elite group of people, and there's no way that I can possibly not brag about how good I am, about how much effort I put in, how much effort is required, because to do so would mean to also undervalue my own time spent here. I want you to think of me as someone special. I want you to think of me as something special in this tiny little puddle in the video game world. And so to do so, I'm going to tell you fighting games are hard. And that makes me hard in multiple ways, motherfucker. Right? Like, that's kind of the whole idea behind it. And it sucks. That's what's keeping people away. Anyway, I don't want to get into that argument again. But still, like, even then, like, I use MOBAs as an example. Dark Souls is another one. How hard did Dark Souls pop off? By doing the exact opposite of what so many people these days are doing. They've spawned so, like, From Software has exploded, is a mainstay in gaming in general. It's definitely a AAA studio now at this point. Let me actually look at that. Let me see. Bloodborne does not even have a PC version. Only 2 million, really. I honestly would have thought that would have been more. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, still, 2 million is a great amount. That is it. I may have undercut my own point. But to be fair, it is PlayStation exclusive. How about, I mean, Dark Souls. Yeah, let's go with Dark Souls 3. How much did Dark Souls 3 sell? Dark Souls 3 has sold over 10 million copies? Yo, where the Bloodborne play? Okay, well, now I gotta check out Sekiro. Sekiro? I don't know how to pronounce that shit. How much did that sell? Has now shifted over 5 million copies. Where the fuck the Bloodborne players at? What? Alright, I mean, that's fine. It fits my narrative more, the Dark Souls, because originally I saw the 2 million, I was thinking 5 million, maybe approaching more than that if you're looking at, you know, like, because Bloodborne to me is, I mean, that's my favorite From Software game, so I definitely thought that it would have been more. But I can't believe Sekiro has sold more than twice as much as Bloodborne. That's wild to me. Maybe the Bloodborne figures are old. How old are those? Because what I'm looking at is, oh, it's just a list of best-selling PS4 games. I mean, who knows if this is, like, consistently upkept. There's no way. There's no way. I do not believe you in any way, shape, or form that Persona 5 has sold more copies than Bloodborne. I'm sorry. Like, this list gotta be outdated somehow. It's just not kept up with. There's gotta be. There's no way. Oh, here we go. Wait, hang on. So there's... Oh, wait. Ghost of Tsushima's on here, too. Wasn't that lower down? No, never mind. 6.5 million. Sorry, this is taking me a lot longer to get through now because I gotta figure this out. Like, that's gotta be old, right? Surely? Where is... Okay, fuck it. I gotta go up here. Sorry, I'm trying to find the, where these figures are cited from. From 2015, okay, so these are sales figures from PlayStation blog on September 15th, 2015. So this is outdated as fuck. Okay, that makes so much more sense. So it's probably sold more than that since. But I can't find anything official. Yeah, VG charts. Yeah, I don't fucking trust VG charts. Don't trust VG charts. But yeah, so I mean, surely it's sold more than that by now, but still, either way, it doesn't really matter. My entire point being that Dark Souls in general, like, they've spawned an entire subgenre of games, the Souls-like, because of how popular they got, because they were heralded for being some of the most difficult gaming experiences in the current generation of games. In a time where, I mean, let's be real, most games are oversimplifying and kind of treating their player bases like shit. And From Software is like, yeah, here's a game. Enjoy trying to figure out the story. Enjoy trying to figure out all the mechanics. Here's just a bunch of shit. Go figure it out yourselves, right? Have fun. And it's hard. It's brutally hard. Your very first Souls experience, ooh, it is difficult. You're going to get your ass handed to you on a repeated basis. Not an easy time. And yet they are some of the most popular games in the current gaming world. How many people are looking forward to Elden Ring, right? Like that, where are they at? If you want to look at this from just a fighting game angle, one of the most popular games still being played this day is Tekken 7. Undeniably, argue with me, give me a counterpoint. What current fighting game that is played by more than, let's say, 100 people on a regular basis is more complex than Tekken in the current world, in the current fighting game genre as a whole? And Tekken 7 is not just kind of coasting along, like, oh yeah, you know, we're retaining a decent enough player base. Like, no, they're regularly top 3 most played fighting games on Steam. Regularly some of the highest numbers that are in tournaments that are, you know, like everywhere. If you look everywhere just in relation to fighting games, Tekken 7 is almost always leading the list, or their top 3. Always. And yet it is undeniably, now that's, to be fair as well, Tekken 7 did simplify things, right? I remember there was a bunch of drama surrounding Tekken 7. With Katarina, right? There's a character you can do an entire combo with by just mashing one button? What is Tekken come to? Right? Anybody that's picked up Tekken knows that game ain't easy. That is a difficult-ass fighting game. And it's one of the best of, current generation for sure. Potentially, I think people would argue that Tekken 7 is one of the best fighting games of all time. I would agree with them. And yet, it's sold more than most fighting games too. But nah, simplification is the answer, right? People don't gravitate towards difficult fighting games. We gotta make them easy. That's not how it works. And we have plenty of proof that that's not how it works. And developers need to get their heads out of their asses and understand that that's not how it works. It's just very frustrating to see the constant sacrifice of a game's quality in this needless pursuit. Like, make a fun game and people will come buy it, right? That's the main thing. Make a game that pops off, that people are having a shit ton of fun playing, that people are constantly talking about, and people will come running. In most cases. Some cases that, like Skullgirls, right? Pretty much universally regarded highly by everybody that plays it. But that's never popped off. And it's understandable why, right? Same thing with Them's Fighting Herds. I think Them's Fighting Herds is the best fighting game that I've played in like the last, 5-6 years. But it's very, 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 very understandable why the majority of people would not have played it. I would not personally have played it if it was not in the pursuit of a girl. That was the only reason why I bought and played the game in the first place. If not for that, I would have been the same as all the other people who have heard good things about it and been like, it's a fucking brony game, bro. Get away from me. I want nothing to do with that shit. So I certainly can't blame people for not wanting to play it. But still, anyway, point being, I don't have a point. I just wanted to post this. I don't have anything to talk about. God damn it. So I talked about this. Peace.